welcome to another episode of Live from Stubbs. I'm Aaron Strutt of WCG, Kyle Flaherty, Breaking Point Systems. We are here live in the Gemalto Lounge at South by Southwest 2012, having a rocking good time. We had the pleasure of speaking with friend, handsome man, and director of social and digital strategy at Verizon Communications.
Yes.
I know it's Verizon, but I always forget like the inks and the communications. Okay.
You should say his actual name too.
Mason Nelder.
There you go.
Yes, that would be a good one. Thank you. That's why I keep you around, so you can remind me of important things. Like
Can I leave now?
I've only known him for like 5 years.
That's the small stuff.
That's cool.
As we said in our previous episode, we're getting a little crispy here. 5 days into Sunday. So tell us a little bit about what are you thinking about from a business perspective these days? What do you focus on? What do you get excited about? That's a broad question, I know. But
I was really excited to come down here, hang out with you guys.
Is it meeting your expectations?
It's always far exceeds them in every facet, especially when it comes to macaroni.
Well, we are big fans of the macaroni, so that's good.
But other than that, it's actually been, I don't know, what I'm doing right now is I just have a big passion about taking our brand and just brands itself becoming more social. And everyone's been talking about that. The last year, probably more specifically than any other year, I would say, as far as just the concept of being a social brand and kind of from the inside out, and being able to, one of the things I've talked about for the last 5 years internally is that we really need to look in first before we do anything external. And most brands, this isn't a hard stat, but I'd say easily 95% of brands look outward first, and they just kind of consider it as something that it's just like another channel or it's just whatever. And it really is. It's clearly, obviously changed the face of and the guts and the culture of brands, and it's doing the same thing. So I get really passionate about talking about that change and being able to spend basically my entire day just talking to people about how we can kind of pull that together collaboratively.
That's great.
Now, have you seen that? So, you've been doing that for a while now, and it takes a while, obviously.
Absolutely.
And I would imagine the bigger the organization, it can be, more difficult to do. But how have you seen the needle move? So 5 years ago, when this is your fourth South by Southwest?
Third.
Third? Okay, so that first one to now, how have you seen the change internally?
Yeah, we're so huge. It's ridiculous. I mean, we've got 4 different businesses. We have pockets of this work over the years, and I think what's been the most exciting, and one of the things I've said internally for a while now too, is that whether they wanted to or not, whether they wanted to recognize it or not, they meaning either a business lead or an analyst or even an executive, it's this external pressure that creates internal urgency at some point in the game. And so it gets to a point where they can't ignore it. And so it's just infused itself into so many different departments and so many different things that you're doing, that everybody's doing during their, it just happens. So paths of least resistance is kind of where, as far as this change within, but now I think the needle's moved where there's this broad recognition that something has needed to happen.
Right.
And as an example, the last 3 positions I've had didn't exist.
Okay.
So there's more.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
Exactly. It's like it's happening more and more and more. And now I think I'm at a place where the view into it and the understanding of how we should go about doing things is now at the executive level.
As a mobile company, do you feel pressure to be really good at fax marketing at all, or?
Fax marketing, I think, is probably the trend that's going to be solid in the next 5-10 years.
Did you guys see the fax marketing panel yesterday?
I didn't, but
security is obviously a big
I have
issue.
it downloaded.
That was your panel, correct?
Yeah.
Well, no, Kevin Flaherty. You always get that confused.
You guys look a little like.
A little bit different. So.
No, in all seriousness, is there pressure as a company that provides technology, one of the biggest pipes in the world?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're one of the
Huge pipes.
big 2 or 3 in terms of the mobile players. That put additional pressure on you guys to be better in social channels and be better in digital channels?
Yeah, I think kind of getting back to that point of the external pressure. I think it's making everybody. I think it's putting pressure on every big brand. I think it
But
does.
someone like Sears, like you
Yeah.
don't think of Sears like
No,
Sears.
you're right.
It's kind of like I don't expect them to be social or
Right,
digital
but I
because
expect-
they're stodgy, right?
Yeah, and I think I think there is an expectation that when you have continued to be innovative when it comes to what you expect, like you expect your handsets to work, you expect your connection to be made, and people will pay their bills for their phone before they're paying it before their electricity goes off. You know what I mean? I mean they'll pay their bills and they'll let the electricity lapse. It's that important.
I would make that trade-off.
It's that important.
Yeah.
And so I do. I think there's an expectation that we need to be leading in that space as well, and not only just in our category, but as an industry. So that's what we're working very hard towards. So I absolutely believe there's a pressure, and I think there's an expectation, a customer expectation, that we shouldn't just be innovative on an engineering standpoint, but we should also be innovative on customer experience.
So on that, what are some of the things maybe you're seeing at not just South by, but just in general in the industry that you think are going to kind of be big for your own job this year, or
Yeah.
all the jobs of the people kind of listening? What's kind of next that you're feeling out?
Yeah, I mean the next, I think when it's interesting when you come to South by, I think you see kind of like the full spectrum, and and the critical mass is always seems to be a little bit behind, right? As far as what the trends go. So I think that social business thing, while it's been around the last 1 to 2 years as far as a hot topic, I think that's still something that we're fully immersed in, and it's going to take some time, obviously, to get that going. But clearly, I think we're seeing from a trend moving out is not just it's not just this monitoring and just listening and being able to find out, well, how do we maybe do some sort of response, specifically to maybe particular categories. But I think it's actually getting to this whole concept of narrowcasting, being able to, as brands are being more and more empowered from all of this listening and all this monitoring and being able to kind of insert voice of customer at all the different pain points, and then kind of like the things that you're not seeing, being able to basically predict, where people are going.
Right.
I think that is huge, so it's not just predictive based upon some sort of anatomical threshold with a group of a segment. It's actually now granular to actually specific people.
Right.
So I think that's the future. I think it'll get to a point when it wasn't scalable, it wasn't profitable, it wasn't something that we were able to do in the past. I think that's in the next 5 years. I think it's going to be. And I also think that the brands, are the flop is going to probably come to full maturation, where the consumer themselves are going to be so empowered that and have the same tools, and they're getting those today, that brands pay big money for. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be invited more than we are educating about we're inspiring. Yeah. I think.
So I like that idea of narrowcasting, right? So sort of pushing out the right information or having a two-way dialogue, with those very specific audience segments.
Yep.
One of the problems, though, is while the technology has made it more scalable,
Yep.
it hasn't made you more scalable per se, right?
That's
or
right.
Your other marketing efforts. So
That's right.
How do you sort of make sure that you don't have that? There's that promise of that infinite number. I can talk to each one of
Yep.
my people I'm trying to talk to, but you can't really, right?
That's right.
Because you just don't have the time or.
And that's the thing. Jeremiah talked about that 3 years ago. It was like it's not scalable. Real time's not scalable. But I think what's interesting about that is as more people become more empowered. Social is the empowerment of the individual voice and the amplification of it. So it's like for us to be able to embrace that internally, you are kind of turning on not only you're kind of flipping the switch clearly on. It's not just me, right? I mean, it's basically now your workforce. So again, kind of like the gold standard, I think, of actual infusion within the company itself is Zappos, or Nike or whatever, where it's just who they are. And so being that, I think they inspire and educate and help the consumer themselves understand that and become obviously an advocate. And so that's where the scalability comes. It's not, I think we're changing the way we need to change. We are changing the way we market in general. To not just empowering, but also being able to provide, I think, scalable understanding about the innovative technology that we have, simply because of who we're changing, who we are, and how people are embracing that.
So here on Live from Stubbs, we also, I mean, this is a very serious conversation that the three of us have had.
Very serious.
Right. But I want to lighten it up a little
Tax
bit
marketing
for all of
aside,
us.
maybe, yeah.
For some, it's not, though.
That's
It's a
true.
serious problem. But we're in the middle of Austin, Texas. I know you come down here at least once a year, although you
Yes.
come down for other events and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I've watched you eat barbecue.
Yes. Huge fan.
Maybe a little more closely than would be normal. But
I was doing a video.
okay.
Follow me on foodspotting.com. But what's your favorite type of barbecue? Because you've been you're in Southern California, now
Yeah.
you're up in Jersey,
Yeah.
down in Austin.
And
What do you
Jersey
like?
is huge barbecue. It's big
Right.
barbecue state.
No, I always think of them.
Yes.
Second.
I would say that I think the brisket. Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it's.
Ribs are getting a bum rap this
I know.
They
I'm
are,
actually,
yeah.
I'm actually getting annoyed because I really love ribs. They're my favorite by far.
Really?
Oh yeah, St. Louis style ribs, absolutely. the
Yeah,
best.
ribs are. I mean, ribs are good, but I think when you come down here, you kind of expect to do the whole brisket thing, and so
Sure.
I'm no different.
Right.
I'm kind of one of the crowd on that one.
Yeah, the armadillo ribs are an unusual delicacy down here as well, which is pretty nice.
Smaller.
Well, it's
Smaller.
much smaller, and so
Much
you have
smaller.
to eat it's kind of like crawdad. You have to suck the head, and then you eat the ribs.
But then you have a toothpick too, which I always like.
Well, the
I like
tail, you can-
multi-function
yeah,
type
exactly.
of things, right? Sauce, no sauce,
Sauce.
real moist,
Yes. Fatty.
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 Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Must get the flavor.
Yeah. So we also have this music thing going on here.
Yeah.
Live music
He
capital of the
doesn't-
world.
He doesn't like music.
I don't like music. I usually sit. I actually walk around like this most of the time.
Sorry about that. Probably that crowd tap party we went to.
Yeah.
last night was
Was-
not the best choice.
That was.
Anyone you're listening to these days? Adele or Selena Gomez or anyone like that? I know you have.
I think the Biebs. The
Yeah,
Biebs
Biebs is pretty
Biebs is
hot.
pretty solid.
I heard he's going to make a guest appearance somewhere this week. So down here. Yeah.
I had live Stubbs.
Exactly.
It's tough for my mental DJ to stop spinning "Never Say Never."
Yeah.
So it's.
You and my 5-year-old daughter.
I don't know what either of you are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of basically punk and alternative. So, but I do kind of go through these,
Old school or
seasons.
newer school
Yeah,
or
like
both?
Social D and Bad Religion, that type of stuff. So, listen to them pretty religiously. Although I've been getting into a lot of Irish music again, like Flogging Molly. Just the bigs as
Not
far
like
as
Irish
that.
step dancing.
No, not Irish step dancing. Although I probably had a season of that at one point.
That's good.
So.
Now, what
yeah.
about live shows? Do you still get out and see concerts? or-
Actually, no,
Yeah.
not as much as I used to.
We have 4 kids, right?
3.
3 kids.
Yep.
I just gave you
And a
an extra
dog.
one.
And a dog.
Yeah.
So might as well be 4.
I knew it was 3.
Yeah.
But back in the
Thinking-
day, did you go see all those punk bands and
Yeah.
you did all
yeah,
that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a lot of fun actually to get out, obviously still, and have fun. That's a benefit of coming down here.
Right.
Be able to catch live music.
And you
Because
will-
again, while Jersey is kind of like the hot spot of live music and barbecue, I would say Austin is probably a close second.
Right. Yep. Agreed.
Well, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
I appreciate you rolling with the punches with us.
Yeah.
Mason Nelder, who is the Director of Social Media and Digital Strategy globally, worldwide, across the universe
Yep.
at Verizon Communications. Cal Flaherty, Breaking Point Systems, Aaron Strutt, WCG. Live from Stubbs, live at Gemalto Lounge, live at South by Southwest, and we appreciate you listening in.